Hey Nathan and Cass family members, this is Max Clausen with Metro Brokers, and first of all I'd like to offer my condolences for your loss. Um, it's a tough time. Secondly, I would like to offer you a CMA and my services. I'll talk to you more in depth about that in a second. So, what I do when I do a market analysis is I go to public records and I uh, pull up the property so I can get the statistics about the property. And so this is your parents' house on Lakeshore Drive. They bought it in 1987 for right at $175,000. It's gone up since then. So at any time during this presentation, I'm going to try and keep it as short as I can. You can hit pause, come back at a later time, or if you want to see what's on the screen and study that, if I'm going too quickly, you can hit pause and then restart the presentation. So it's a 1987 house. I get all of the vital statistics on the house from public records. Once you have an address and a name, it's pretty amazing what you can find on public records. So what I do then is I do a MLS search to pull up comparable homes in the Pinery to your parents' house. So this was a quick search for two-story homes in I'm going to call it the Old Pinery, not High Prairie Farms or the Timbers, and of a similar size to your parents. And I came up with 5 that are currently under contract and about 10 that are, maybe 11 that are recently sold. Now the solds go back as much as 6 months, and in a dynamic market like ours right now, in 6 months there's been significant appreciation. So we'll talk about that more in depth. So what I do is I take this information from my MLS search and I import it into my own spreadsheet so then I can simplify it, find averages, and do a little bit of statistical research. So when I import the information, I take the 5 homes that are currently under contract. Now, we're just going to look at the numbers alone. We're not going to look right now. Later on in the presentation, I'll look at the condition and location of these homes. But right now, I'm just looking at the raw numbers. On average, the 5 homes have 4 bedrooms, just like your parents, 3 bathrooms on average, just like your parents. On average, they're a little bit smaller. Not much, but a little bit smaller than your parents. Pretty good comps, actually. The finished square feet, this is where there's a little bit of a deficit, and that's because your parents' house doesn't have a finish on the basement. And for a 1987 house, we're looking at a 40-year-old house, a 30-year-old house, and most 30-year-old houses would have a finish on it. So it's kind of odd that in the Pinery that doesn't have a finished basement. But that's not really a deficit because some of the finishes on these basements are homeowner hobbyist finishes that really don't add a lot of value and actually kind of detract from the value because so much of it has to be ripped out to make it a nice finish. So the total square footage of the house, including any unfinished, finished, basement, whatever, your parents' house is a little bit larger. The basement on your parents' house is a little bit larger. And then on average, these 5 houses that are under contract. Now, we don't know what the final numbers are going to be, but they'll be pretty darn close to this. Right there on average, they're getting $518,000, or let's say they're asking $518,000. This is the price per square footage above ground, finish price per square footage, and total price per square footage. The lot size of your parents' house is very comparable to these 5 that are under contract, and the year that they were built. And so here's the days on market. So I would doubt that these first four made any kind of concession on price, being that they were on the market for less than a week. This one was on for a month and a few days. They might have come down in their price, but I would imagine that we're looking at something very, very close to this number. Some of these that have been on the market a very short time might have actually come in higher than their asking price. So we don't know the final number on these. We know what they were asking at the time of contract. Because they're under contract, they are not sold. So if we transition down to these sold properties, there's 11 of those, and these are real numbers, firm numbers that appraisers would use, that we can look at and compare to your parents and use these for comparable sold houses in the Pinery. On average, 4 bedrooms, on average, 4 bathrooms. That's because most of them have a finish in the basement, and they've added a bathroom down there. The above ground square footage, your parents is slightly larger. The finished square feet is going to be a lot larger on these other houses because of the finish in the basement. The total square footage, your parents is a little bit larger, and so that's the only deficit is the unfinished basement. And it's a deficit in that number, not necessarily in the value. Right there, the basement, very comparable in size, within 28 square feet, 33 square feet. And then the average price is right there at $500,000 on these 11 solds in the Pinery. Above ground, price per square footage, these 3 numbers. And then the lot size. Your parents' lot is a really nice sized lot. Average days on the market. And this is going to be from when they went on the market to when they went under contract. Now we would add 30 more days in there to go through the process of closing. So it's actually about 80 days or maybe close to 3 months. And that was, some of these guys are skewing the numbers right there. If we take these 2 extremes out, it would change things. So this guy's 0 days on the market. I don't know the circumstances of that one. So what I'd like to do now is take a closer look at some of the features and locations of some of these houses. Now, I'm not going to take you through all 16 of these, but I do want to take you through a few of them so that you can see what is going on in the market and how it compares to your parents' house. So if we look at this one on Wynwood, it's on North Pinery Parkway on that other side. Kind of the same era of house. So that's backing up to the Colorado Golf Club. That's North Pinery Parkway. There's the Colorado Golf Club, the open space between the Pinery in that area. Same era as your folks' house. Again, I'm going to click through these kind of quickly just to save some time. A very plain looking kitchen finish, not as nice as your folks. Kind of dated. I don't think it's original equipment, but it was remodeled long enough ago that it's now kind of dated again. The coil top stove is pretty low end, and the appliances, nothing to write home about. The master suite, the master bath, that light bar, again, it's not original equipment, but it's almost out of date again. So that house is under contract at $565, and it was on the market for 10 days. It has a much larger lot. I think the location is pretty special on that house. I'm not going to go through all of these. I want to just pull up the ones I think that are most comparable to your parents' house. This one has 3-car garage, which is definitely a nice feature. But again, it's kind of the same era of your parents with the cedar siding. The backyard isn't as nice as your parents'. There's not as much useful space. Plantation shutters and new carpeting. The kitchen, I don't think your parents' granite slab countertop is nicer than this, and the white cabinets. It's amazing. The white is really popular now, but some people really don't like it. The basement. I think this is the master suite. So the master bath was updated at some point, but again, it's kind of going back around where it's the things that they chose almost have become dated again. So that bathroom back there, nothing special about it. It has tile countertops and the 4-inch white tile surround in the tub. And then they threw some carpet down there and painted the walls and the trusses. The joists were painted, so kind of odd. But that house went under contract at $540 in a day. This one has, again, kind of the same feeling as your folks' house. It's on Powell, so it's in the back of the Pinery, but this to me looks like a lot of like Lakeshore, just a few houses up from you guys where they have the scrub oak in the front yard. This is laminate, and you can see the joints. They're all about 4 feet long. You can see a repetitive pattern in there. It's not solid wood. And it's throughout the house. It's not necessarily a bad product, but it's not solid wood. They have some bold colors. The kitchen looks like it has a quartz countertop. It's a nice house, move-in ready. That looks like a kind of a narrow deck. It looks narrow and high. We'll see that from the outside maybe. This here's the master bath, and again, it was redone, but it was redone a while back. Classic Pinery stain doors and trim. Dated bathroom. This is the secondary bathroom. Here's the exterior. So this one had a really big front yard, and the back kind of backs to this drainage area. So it has a really nice setting. So there's this drainage that comes through these houses here, and let's just take one last look at. Here's another house that went under contract in a matter. Well, this one took a while. $525. It went on in October, and it took until February to go under contract. So I'm thinking, so when they finally got the price down to $525, let's see if we can see where they started this one. went under contract and came back on the market. So they started at 550, and then they started flirting with reducing the prices, and it was active. It went under contract. Then they reduced it. It was active. Then went under contract, and then it was active, and it went under contract. So two deals fell apart. So there must have been some extenuating circumstance that caused this to be on the market as long as it was. They must have found something that they didn't anticipate, some structural problem. Two people found it before the third one finally bought it. So good looking photos. It's a great setting. It's got a huge front yard, and then it sits pretty far back on the lot. So a lot of really nice cosmetics in this house, but for whatever reason, people didn't really like it. It's got popcorn on the ceiling. I don't think that was the deal breaker. It's got a really awesome finish in the kitchen, very comparable countertop to your parents. That dark coffee kind of stuff, that is more appealing to me than the white, but I don't have a sense of style apparently. So this is real hardwood. Good looking cosmetics in this house. Again, very comparable countertop to what your father put in. Nice looking bathrooms. There's the master bath, a nice remodel there. So this one sold for $525. And so these are the secondary, there's the secondary bathroom. Original equipment is what I would call that one. Some funky popcorn on the ceiling, and then these lights, pretty dated there. Original, but a really nice setting. I think this one, I think we got a drone shot. Yeah, so here's a really nice patio in the pines in the back of the property, and a long shot to the front. You can see the lake down there where close to where you guys are at. So this is a lot deeper down into the pinery. There's the front yard and then the back. So I'd like to talk to you about my proposal to sell your parents' house. I would do it for a reduced amount of money, but I'm not going to reduce my services. So with the advent of the internet, a lot of things have changed in so many different professions. And the real estate profession has been slow to react. A lot of things are available online, just like everything else. And so my proposal to you is that I would sell your parents' house, provide excellent marketing, comparable to anyone's and better than the vast majority, provide very comprehensive communication, use my very advanced negotiation skills to get you guys the most amount of money for this house in a reasonable amount of time. So my concern with most realtors is that they base their commission on percentage. And that's just kind of an old school way to do things. So my point is that a $1 million house in High Prairie Farms doesn't take twice as much marketing and twice as much effort and twice as much negotiation and twice as much administration as a $500,000 house on Lakeshore. It doesn't take twice as much. So why would it cost twice as much? And a $500,000 house on Lakeshore doesn't take twice as much marketing and twice as much administration and twice as much negotiation and twice as much contractual work as a $250,000 house in Cottonwood. So I'm proposing to you that I would do all of the high quality service that I provide to everybody for a price of $4,980. Here's an example of a marketing that I did on a $200,000 condo. And I didn't go to this person and say, hey, I'm not going to make as much money off of you percentage wise, and therefore I'm not going to hire a professional photographer to come in and take pictures. No, I provide the same quality service for $1 million house as a $250,000 condo, and the service that I provide is top notch. I don't scrimp. So here's a house in the Pinery that sold for $500,000, a little bit more than $500,000, and again the same quality, high definition photos, the same impact in the marketing, the same internet presence. That's what it's all about. You got to get in the internet. I don't make flyers to put out on signs because anybody that's serious about looking at a house is looking on their phone. They're not driving around randomly picking flyers out of sign boxes. That's old school. And I just spend my effort and time doing what gets results. And beautiful high definition photos and a tour of the home gets results. This is a house. It was kind of an odd house. It looks like something out of Santa Fe, or Sedona, but it was closer to $1 million listing. And again, the same high quality photo tour, high definition, that is going to give the house the edge on the internet. Now, I don't provide everything possible on the internet. I used to provide websites and all that kind of stuff. And what I found is that when you provide too much information, it decreases your showings. What I want to do is I want to inspire people to come out and look at the property. Give them enough so that they say, wow, let's go look at this, but not so much that they can pick it apart and find something that they decide, oh, that's just too much. You got to get their feet in the house to inspire them to purchase the house. Here's one more. It's sold for like $750, and again, the same method on everything. High quality internet presence to inspire people to come out and look at the property and hopefully get into a multiple bidding situation. So there's a lot of strategy about when to put it on the market, how to present it to the people that are waiting for something in the Pinery so that we have the best results early on. Just because something sells very quickly doesn't mean that there isn't the same or even more amount of work to it, because now I have multiple offers that I have to present. We have to dissect to determine which one is going to be the best for your situation. All of the same tasks to close the property need to happen, and now in maybe a shorter amount of time. So just because something goes under contract quickly doesn't mean less effort is involved. Many times there's more effort involved. When you have to do the same amount of work in a shorter amount of time, maybe your professions, you realize that doesn't make it an easier job. So there you are. I think that a pretty solid number would be at $550 for your parents' house. I would need to come in and take a little bit of a closer look at things to be the most accurate. When I was looking at your parents' house, I noticed a lot of things, but I wasn't looking at it as a potential listing situation. But I think 550 is a pretty solid number right there. So anyway, if you have any questions at all, if you want me to look at anything different, if I went too quickly for you, please give me a call. Again, this is Max with Metro Brokers, and my phone number is 303-726-0867. 303-726-0867.